Alright, welcome back to My Hero Academia and review episode 243. We are sadly reviewing the fifth to last episode of My Hero Academia. Episode 166, Enter Aizawa, covering the rest of chapter 417 and the entirety of 418 to 420. So basically this means, by this episode, there are only 11 chapters left to go for the entire series. Yeah, 11. You're like, really? 11? Yes, 11. Despite the fact, yes, the final published chapter release was 430, there was a bonus chapter 431. So technically there are 431 chapters. Plus a one-shot, which is part of the epilogue arc, which I'm hoping the bonus chapter and the one-shot is actually published part of the anime. That's for the anime. I did notice basically with the third to last episode of the series that it goes to about 426, which means there's not many to go. And I'm thinking that yes, they will finish adapting the whole manga with the final episode, which it is going to be episode 170. Kind of interesting though, the fact that we have a series that from manga that was 31 chapters overall because of the bonus chapter, and it's being adapted for at least 170 episodes. You would think like it would be slightly longer, but this is due to the fact that, well, animes like this tend to adapt not one chapter per episode. That was like that from the start, and then later on they did start adapting 2, maybe 2.5 chapters per episode. So here's what happens in this episode. First, pick up right at the last episode where we have Deku and Todoroki's grandma, who is basically All Might's mentor, voiced by the awesome Stephanie Young in the English dub. Where basically she's seeing what her grown-up son is doing to her grandson, and then there's a barrier, Deku interfering in the memory, and then she breaks the barrier, hugs her grown-up son, apologizes what happened, and then we cut to young Deku saying Todoroki, where his decay power activates, where he accidentally kills his dog. And then we see it look like he's about to do it to his sister, and then he's stopped by Deku, and then Deku loses his hands. And also this period of time, All For One proceeds to take over Todoroki's body, and then we kind of get also the explanation where his power comes from. What, was he born with decay? No. Apparently his virtual power was stolen by All For One, and he was given another person's power when he was holding his hand, where it slowly seeped into him, and that's what. And basically, All For One is the reason why that caused the tragedy that made Todoroki the way he is. Now, pretty much Todoroki's personality is virtually destroyed. His body's still there, and so All For One takes over his body and regrows the hands that were destroyed. I think it was destroyed just a couple years ago. It was like 2 seasons ago. And basically, and then we see all hope is lost, and then all of a sudden Todoroki is stopped by Tape Man. And then we see various members of the class 1 students. Now, Fancy himself couldn't exactly come because he's going to the hospital. And then we see a warp gate pop open. Yep, a warp gate. This is actually because of Todoroki, the one who's actually is a Nemu, who's using the corpse of the late friend of President Mike and Eraserhead, who had accidentally transformed into a deserted island. And they have to go back, and we see Aizawa where he has, well, no leg. And apparently they do show in the flashback how the heck this is accomplished. Or someone got in contact with police headquarters, and because all the other battles are pretty much wrapped up at this point, They pretty much in a way just put a call out with everybody's coordinates. So they got all the heroes. He stopped by the shelter. One kid gave Razorhead his shirt for Injured Hero, which not a bad idea to do. I'm sure probably Injured Hero probably needs a shirt. And trying to be Deku. And Eri give basically Razorhead her horn. But lucky enough, in the manga, they don't say who actually cut out the horn. In the anime, it was ectoplasm. That's who did it for her. And then we actually see what happens next, because in the manga, it's like, oh, Deku, and we see what happens where he uses the horn on Deku's arm. He asks like how long. Like probably not very long. And then he proceeds to rewind time for his arms, restoring his arms, which were destroyed that very episode. In the manga, this lasted about 2 chapters. Okay, so this particular sequence was actually extended from the manga, because the manga it's like quick, like here show up, Deku's arms restored, move on. In the anime, it's basically like a show up, the horde touches his arm, the one basically with no hands, and then his hands are restored. And that's the episode. Overall, really, really good. Yes, and we're itching toward the end of the series. And as of right now, anyways, we're at we have 4 episodes left to go. Based on, in the case of the sub, they're wrapping up really soon. Wrap up before the next month wraps up. In the case of the dub, I kind of calculated, unless of course they decided to release the last 2 episodes dubbed the same day, it's going to be released the last Saturday of next month. That's presumably when they're going to wrap the season up. And then I did hear something Vigilante Season 2 is going to start up in January. But we'll find out and see, okay? But yeah, that's pretty much it for particular video. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications. Next up we have is basically, unless I get caught up with the stream anyways, next up is going to be, I think it's going to be Rama Half, okay? Thanks, you. Bye.